President, Guillaume, dear Guillaume, Jela, I think Jela is also anywhere, Vice President, Pepe, and other distinguished member of the board. Very briefly, just Mark, President of the World Federation of Investors. Very briefly, just let me do two things. The first is to show gratitude in your trust to choose and pick Madrid and pick us as your host for this international assembly, General Assembly of the Federation of the Better Finance movement. And also let me share with you something that I couldn't develop yesterday. Yesterday we had a social meeting. We have been discussing different points. Today was more a learning opportunity. But just to explain what you see here a law firm, a foundation, and you see here a law firm, an association of minority shareholders. So what does it mean? How does it work? What is the value engaged for both parties? Is there any conflict of interest? Is there any kind of alignment? Let me talk from, in the very beginning, from the side of Cremades and Calvo-Sotelo. We had decided, so many years ago, when we were a boutique firm, very small firm for telecommunications, we got an opportunity. We got a case which was represented 400 minority shareholders, most of them Germans, that invested many years ago, 30 years ago before, in Galerías Preciados. Galerías Preciados was something like El Corte Inglés, department stores, and that was part of a conglomerate who was Grupo Rumasa. It was a huge expropriation in 1983, just a few months after the new government of the Socialist Party came in. It was supposed to be the number one business person, José María Ruiz Mateos. He had, at that time, supposed to have 2% of the whole Spanish economy, with banks and wineries and construction companies and buildings and department stores. And at that time, the process has not finished, but the expropriation concluded that the value was zero because he has a lot of assets, but he has more liabilities. And these 400 people said, we are not Rumasa, we are just investors in Galerías Preciados. So the valuation should be in this company. And we got that case because they were litigating for almost 30 years. We decided to take it and we brought it to success. It was mainly not our merit, but we were the counsels at the end of them and most of the successors, because many people died, got a compensation. And then we started this work representing minority shareholders. Then in the landscape started something that was a potential takeover of the Banco de Bilbao Vizcaya, today one of the top 5 European banks. And we got a call from somebody who said to us, look, we are former executives of the bank. We go together to the stadium, to the Bernabeu Stadium to watch Real Madrid, and together we have almost 2% of the bank. We're from rich families and we have been working in the bank, and why don't we participate in this and create an association of minority shareholders? And then we created an association at the time of minority shareholders, and we call it, on their behalf, we call it Asociación Española de Accionistas Minoritarios de Empresas Cotizadas. And we started with a debate. We called 5 professors of company law, of mercantile law, and we started. I remember that at the time we called for a press conference right here in Wellington Hotel, and everybody was saying, who are you working for? Are you being hired by Banco de Bilbao, or are you hired by the guys who want to take over? Say, we represent these guys who are behind us, and those are the rules. The rules are takeovers are always good for minority shareholders, and if it comes another offer, will be even better, because if there is some competition, the price will be over, and the minority shareholders will have the right to sell or to stay. So the public opinion was astonished, because at that time, and today is very much the same, it was practiced some kind of despotismo ilustrados. So enlightened despotism, that means everything for the shareholder, but without the shareholder. And most of the public listed company fear the day of the shareholders meeting, because that day they could be not fired because they had the control of the proxies much more in ahead, but they could be, they could be really having in some kind of difficult time in the terms that they are not anymore the boss, but the shareholder is the boss and can blame them for anything they want. So we started and tried to practice a fair game. And we decided something at that time, something that can be changed at any time, but we are still keeping this, is if a company is aligned with the minority shareholders protection, we can work with the company. We can work for the company. If there is a conflict, we perceive a conflict, or there is a litigation, we will be always on the side of the minority shareholders. We will not be working for that company. As I said to you yesterday, we had probably 20 litigation cases, always on the side of the minority shareholders, sometimes with small groups, sometimes with large groups, sometimes with small groups with high stake, sometimes with large groups with small stakes, but always with the same doctrine. We have a web page at the AEMEC, where we have been publishing in the last 17 years, since that moment, all of our statements there that the market knows. So the regulator knows AEMEC, the regulator knows Cremades and Calvo-Sotelo. They know that we are feeding AEMEC, and the AEMEC is also supporting the causes of it. And as you know, probably it's the same in your country. I'll tell you what happened in my country is, if there is not a real crisis, if there is not a perception that the management is robbing, activism almost doesn't exist. People just, they're just making an investment and they're waiting for the executive committee to do their work. If there is a perception that some part of the value has been robbed by a bad decision making or even a crime, then everybody starts to call, and they always call here. And then we decided what is the case, and then we usually started to create a group. We don't have collective redress in Spain yet, so it has to be one by one. We have to send it to the public notaries, one by one. Not easy. It is if you have 40. If you have 400, it's complicated. If you have 7,000, it's really complicated. Right now, to have the communications with a group of the Banco Popular, which is around 7,000, it's very difficult. We got all these guys here, they sign, we send it to the public notary, but now 20% of them are lost for us. We send in emails, we send in effort, and we don't find them. In the case of which is not a minority shareholder, was more a consumer thing, you remember, we had like 12,000 passengers who were stuck in this Irish strike. You remember the controllers in Spain 15 years ago? We still have 3,000 people that hasn't got their money. The money is on our account. And, we have published articles in the newspapers. We have been sending emails, sending WhatsApp. It's not our money, it's their money. We have 20% of that money, but 80% belongs to them. We don't find them. I mean, every year we find 15, 20. They send an email, we check it. Mariola check it, who is the head of this Department of Collective Redress. So I'm just sharing something that probably is very similar to what you experiment. And we as a firm may change this at any moment. We can make a decision that we don't represent any more minority shareholders, and we could represent any type of companies and any type of management. But I don't think it's going to happen, because it has given us a huge opportunity in the market to have identity. Everybody knows. We got a few weeks, a couple of months ago, a phone call from OHL, a company that we are asking you to support us. They explain out the situation. We decide whether it's really the interest of the minority shareholders, and we accept the case or not. In this case, we are working for the company. And all the other firms just recommend us. And we feel very happy because we always defend the same principles. And in any operation, we risk our reputation and our existence as law firm, because if we don't do the correct thing, we're out of the business. I wanted to check this because it's something similar, with the World Jurist Association and the World Law Foundation. The World Jurist has its birthplace and its legal domicile in Washington, D.C., but the World Law Foundation is here. We have two external law firms, Herbert Smith and Baker McKenzie, organizing the legal life of the foundation. The secretary of the board is a partner of Herbert Smith, and the compliance of the World Law Foundation is organized by Baker McKenzie. And everybody is getting a lot of value. We are supporting the World Law Foundation. We have been critical for their birth. We have 50 board members that contribute financially and with ideas, and the World Law Foundation has started from zero 5 years ago. Today has a few millions in their accounts. We are creating an endowment. We have incredible congresses. We have put a lot of our own resources in that, but we're doing something very noble. You see there, Rule of Law Digital Center. The Spanish king came here to open the foundation 2 years ago, and everybody, Supreme Court justices, Reinders, who is now under investigation, was here also on that opening, and we're very happy because we know we are taking risk, but we are doing something that really create value and makes sense. So I just wanted to explain that to you, how we feel, how we work. When we act on behalf of myself, I'm still Secretary General of the AEMEC. We got a lot of phone calls. I mean, not a lot, but we got all the time different phone calls. And I am the president of the Cremades and Calvo-Sotelo, and I am the chairman and creator of this World Law Foundation. And I believe in what I do. I believe in human dignity, in protecting minority shareholders. I fully disclose. We know everybody in the press. We have discussed this many times. At the beginning, people didn't understand what is doing a law firm. How does it work? How is the separation? Now everybody understands that we have a position in the market. Is if you attack the minority shareholders, there is no way we're going to collaborate with you. But if you want to do something positive for them, we are there for you and we can work for you. By the way, and that's my final point, very often we ask your advice, we learn from you. I was sharing yesterday with Jela that conversation with Mr. Botin. I was just hearing because I was not an activist, I was a lawyer. She was a professional, serious activist. I learned and loved this type of activism, which is not opportunistic, was creating value and serving. She was very clear to the president, Putin, and president heard her as we heard her, and he changed his mind, and he started to develop policies inside of engagement with the minority shareholders, and he saw that he doesn't need to have kilometers of distance with minority shareholders. And we did, for example, I believe in sharing value. I believe in creating value and then getting value. I always put the focus on creating value. And I am sure that if you create value, you get value back. For example, with Better Finance, we did together the engagement policies of Iberdrola. If there is someone who want to do it better, I understood from you that you are there to help them to do it better. And we advise Iberdrola, who is one of our clients, to say, you don't let them know how are you going to engage. You engage and hear them to understand how you should engage. So we had different meetings here with Better Finance. We have 3 meetings, one in the company, another one in Garrigues, another law firm, another one here. And they approved the first minority shareholders engagement policies in Europe. And now there are a few of them. And that was real, that was good. This company at that time when we started was 30 billion value. Today is 110 billion value. So they have created good dividends, and the share has been, by the way, anytime that I engage with a company, I always buy shares in that company. I don't know how it works in the US, but here it's legal, and I like to do that. They don't know, but I know that I really want to be part of it, and I want to to feel also like a owner. So we did many things. Today we're bringing you Mr. Bauza. Mr. Bauza has been many years member of the European Parliament, and as a free person now. And because he's a free person now, and he's not a politician anymore, and he's an entrepreneur, he's collaborating with our firm, and he's a of the World Foundation. He's giving money to the World Foundation, and he can be, Henning. Unfortunately, it's not anymore, but we need the new Hennings, and we need human capital, and you have here real human capital, and he's ready to engage. That's why he's devoting time to this General Assembly. So there are many cases where we are asking for your support. You study it. If you consider it's appropriate, you do our support. If you don't consider, we do it by our own. So this is how a federation works. And we always, when we have a case of a huge company, we always say, let's call our older brothers and sisters for better finance. We know that they were small, that we are beginning, and we're, we need knowledge, we need best practices, and we need support. And we always ask for support, and we very often, I would say 100% so far, get support. And we would understand if some cases don't get the support because you don't have it clear. Maybe it's not our war. By the way, when we provide you with an opportunity to act, I always say to Pepe, well, any association, including the federation, Better Finance, needs to fulfill their goal. And the goal is to promote interests of investors and better education and protection of minority shareholders. And if we then a big case, then we're giving them an opportunity to fulfill their role. They will know, they will understand, they will analyze, and they will decide whether to come or not. So probably we have done together 12, 14 battles. No battle has been lost yet. No battle. So, and always, all our principles, our letters, our statements are in a public web page. And you can screen it and you can control it, and you will see the coherence of the legal framework, of the rule of law. So there are the play rules, and we need to go by the book. So finally, let me know that it's in this suburb, which is the Spanish economy, lots of robbery has happened. Lots of robbery. We had too many cases where it was not that the interests of minority shareholders were disrespected. It's that we're 100% gone. Too many cases in the criminal courts. So we need to avoid that by control. I am remembering in Pescanova. In Pescanova, we represent like 50 shareholders. One of them was the largest shareholders who was supposed to enter on the board, but there was no time because the crime collapsed and the company collapsed and they lost everything. There was a American fund that invested 27 million for the 4% of the company, something like that. And they lost everything. And this guy in New York, I visited him a couple of times. He visited us a couple of times. Was risking his reputation as a fund manager because he brought the money of his investors, put it in a company, and a few months ago was 100% broken. And he said, as an American said, we'll sue everybody. So we sue everybody. And to find redress, to find compensation is very difficult. It's very difficult. But we got it in Galerías in our first case, and we hope we will get it. So just to finish, thank you. You have an ally here. We have some limitations. We have some characteristics. We are a group of lawyers that believe in this type of activism. We love it. And I have invested in many companies, small quantities, but I am a minority shareholder in many companies. And I have the same speech to everybody. When I sit with a chairman, I remember that conversation, very frank, very open. They were not allowed. They were not by their teams to talk to activists. They believed the activists were dangerous and that they were on the other side and they were on the dark side. Now the situation is completely different. Everybody understands in this country that there is a responsible activism, that you can count with them if somebody attacked the company. Remember, Pepe, what we did with Repsol and Henning Wegener with you? You lead a team of 12 people. Repsol got expropriated. Vaca Muerta, the largest oil, reserve on earth in a particular place, when they acquire YPF, and the Argentinian government took it for nothing. They didn't pay any expropriation fees. So the company was mad and crazy. And then Henning and Pepe traveled to Argentina, traveled to Mexico, traveled to the US. By the way, we spoke with the chairwoman of the SEC, which I spoke with the senator in charge of the financial committee. You spoke with a lot of authorities in New York. And at the end, we won the case. We were representing minority shareholders, and we were representing the company, aligned. We were, at that time, we were not paid by the minority shareholder, we were paid by the company. And remember, when we got the settlement, the government was doing the settlement with Repsol. Wonderful settlement, magnificent settlement. They said, well, but we have to include this litigation against us. They said, no, I cannot include that. This is from the minority shareholder, and that was the only one excluded. They had to talk to us. Of course, we agreed with the settlement, and we took out but we shared that we can be in parallel, not substituting the executive teams. But sometimes when the whole company is in danger, we could be of some help. So thank you very much. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. We feel gratitude. You can come to Madrid as many times as you want. We have other cities. We have Malaga. We have Barcelona, where we can also be a good host. And as I said, consider, I remember this speech of, Stanford speech of Steve Jobs, where they say to connect the dots. We're trying here to connect the dots. By the way, the AEMEC logo is a lot of dots. One dot is almost nothing. Two dots, you create a line, but a lot of dots, you create a block. And the block has strength. And if the strength is for the good, we can do this world a little bit better. I think you are doing that. Why are you getting support from the European Commission? Why are you getting support from institutions? Because you are a force for the good. We believe in that. We believe in you. And we say thank you. And hopefully you will come back and will be again our host in the near future as much as you can. You are part of our lives. You know, we don't have 300 years of life. We don't have it. We have how many? After we left the childhood, 50, 60, 70 years. We are sharing already 20 years, a lot of time. So thank you so much, and let's keep working together. Thank you.
Thinking I would just say some thanks. And I wanted to start my thanks with our host, so Cremades Calvo-Sotelo. But after listening to Javier, I would like to add some special thanks to him, because maybe let me quote a great guy, one of the founder of the SEC, Louis Brandeis, said, sunlight is the best disinfectant, which means transparency is extremely important for investors, is extremely important for a federation, which is an NGO, not for profit. It's important for trust. Investors need trust. And not only Javier has been extremely transparent, but he has been extremely transparent on a sensitive point. Let's face it, is how do you manage conflicts of interest? Personally, I was very happy he did that straight in our eyes, and he was very clear. And I can witness, and other people from Better Finance can witness, that this has been indeed the relation between the European Federation for many years now, between the Federation and one of its two Spanish member associations, AEMEC, because yes, we of course knew, and we know very well today, that AEMEC is supported by Cremades and Calvo-Sotelo. So I am really very happy about this great statements from Javier. And so, as I said, then I will confine to restrict myself to thanks. So thanks to our host, so AEMEC, thanks to, I would say, the host of AEMEC, Cremades, Calvo-Sotelo. We were in a great place. We have been invited by you since yesterday, where we had all our big meetings that we often and every year we combine with our international conference. So we had a board meeting, a legal committee meeting, general assembly. And for your information, it's an update from yesterday evening. We had another board meeting because we had a new election of our board. And we have then the election by the board of the new president and vice president. So it's the opportunity for me also to say great thanks to the outgoing president, who has been president of Better Finance since its foundation in 2009. I founded Better Finance, but I could not have founded it, developed it to its status today without the help of many. And the first to help me since then, since 2009, is Jella Benner-Heinacher. So Jella, thank you very much. And it was just to update you. I'm still the founder. This will not change, but now I am, since yesterday night, the president. I am very honored and very pleased, and the occasion also to thank all the members of Better Finance who have embarked into this enterprise, so 16 years ago. I would like also, and I will maybe finish there. First, I think Javier alluded to him. I would like to thank you, if he can hear it, to the first great president of AEMEC, Henning Wegener, who passed away last year. He was a former ambassador of Germany to Spain. And I would like, of course, to thank all the speakers and panelists of today. I cannot but for respect for your time, I will maybe not list all of them, but I want to pick on two or three that really struck me. First one was Emma Lopez, so the Secretary for Economic Policy and Digital Transformation. I had already read about the great recent successes of the Spanish economy and Spanish competitiveness. And here she came with a lot of figures on public spending, on economic growth, and GDP, etc. And I happen to be a French citizen. And she was very polite and respectful, and she didn't mention another thing that I tell my fellow citizens in France is, for the first time ever, Spain is borrowing at a lower rate on the bond market than France. Another worst way to say is now France is buying at a higher rate than Spain. And so I think that is showing really the great success of Spain. And I hope my fellow citizens, there are a few in this room, will take a lesson from Spain. So, arriba España. So that was one thing I wanted to point out. I also like very much what the MEP, a member of Parliament, Jonas Fernandez, who spoke this morning, said about what do we need for this time, not only Spanish competitivity, but European competitivity. And he said three things: single market, single market, single market. And that made me reflect that we have the Treaty of Rome, 1957, almost 70 years ago. What does the Treaty of Rome say? We establish a single market for goods, services, people, and capital. Services, of course, that includes financial services. Almost 70 years later, in financial services, and especially in retail investment services, essentially, there is absolutely no single market. There are 27 fragmented markets. So we still have to work on that, and Better Finance will do its part for that, but that would bring certainly a lot of better returns for citizens, European citizens, as pension savers, as individual investors, and more competitivity to Europe. So I could quote many other people, two special additional thanks, but I really thank all of you. You have been great. In fact, just one last word on Spain. One of the speakers I saw in there, Sander, did mention, because Emma Lopez talked about the attractivity also of Spain in terms of bringing in new talent and talents from abroad and foreign investment. And one of the speakers from the Netherlands told us, "But yeah, I'm one of them. I moved to I think Alicante or a place like that." So two other special thanks. One to David Covell, because he's the one who was requested to speak and share his great experience in the two panels on not only how to the difficulties of engaging shareholders into AGMs, but also on collective redress. And the other one, I would like to make special thanks on the speech, unfortunately by video, of Manuel Pardos, who is, for many of us at Better Finance, the European, Spanish for certain, but maybe also the European pioneer for the defense of individuals as financial services users. For many decades, he has been fighting. I think for some health reason, he could not be with us today. But Adikai is also a long-term member from Better Finance. And I think we are very fortunate, very happy to have both organizations. I think they are very complementary. And one last word why they are very complementary is because Better Finance is a successor company, organization of Euro Shareholders. And so what we did in 2009 basically is to enlarge quite significantly the scope of Euro Shareholders, because as you know, in real life, individuals, even asset managers, even corporations, sometimes they own directly shares, yes, or directly bonds. But some other times they are not experts, they have no time, they buy funds, or they buy other intermediated products. So we expanded to life insurance, pension funds, investment funds, etc. And so today we are very happy to have AEMEC, experts of the defense of minority shareholders, and to have Adikai, who have the broad picture. And maybe they will tell us next time we come to Spain an interesting thing, because I hear and I know there is no really collective redress in Spain, but I remember many years ago, Adikai sued more than 100 banks on some provisions of mortgage credit. Won. Thank you very much, and thanks you for being here.